We are here live in Grid Studio. My
Yes,
name's
sir.
Nathan, and I'm here with the one and only Gliszen ahead of his new album release, Club 1800.
Yes,
Listen,
sir.
how you feeling?
That's me. I'm the boy. It's Gliszen. Yo, I'm super excited, fam. Thank you for having me here.
First
You know
interview?
what I'm saying? Yeah, it's the
First
first
formal kind of
interview.
interview, no?
First interview, it's mad fucking dope. It's real cool experience, and I'm honored to be here as the first guest.
So since it's your first kind of interview,
Yeah.
what do you want the people to know about Gliszen? Because they heard the music, but
Shit,
who's the man
yo.
behind it?
What I want to know, what I want the people to know about Gliszen is I'm free spirited.
Mm.
I'm free spirited. I have high energy, and I really just want people to move, bro. In a positive way. You know what I'm saying? I feel like that's what like my music like translates to. It's just moving,
The
bro.
energy, the
Because
positivity.
that energy, bro. Because like music is a feeling at the end of the day,
Of
bro.
course.
You know what I'm saying? Just like I listen to all types of music, bro. And I'm sure you listen to all types of music across the board too,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah. So like who are some of your inspirations? I want to break it up into two sections. Like who are some of your inspirations when you were young, like coming up before you even had the thought to make your own music?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then who are
facts.
some of your inspirations now as you progress through your career?
Yo, so like growing up, I was pretty much like listening to like everything, bro.
Mhm.
And I guess this might be like weird to say, or I don't know if it's weird to say, but one of my biggest inspirations in music was my family, to be honest. And specifically, I would say a couple of my uncles, but mostly my sister. My sister's like 7 years older than me and whatnot. And
So a lot of your taste came from her, what she was listening to at the time.
yeah, and I would just kind of like copy and paste that shit, because like I grew up in the era, like we grew up in the era of like LimeWire,
Oh,
FrostWire. You
of
remember those
course,
days?
bro.
You
Pure
know what I'm
viruses on
saying?
my laptop.
And yo, facts, bro. Just like bare fucking shit popping off over there. But like I just remember like pulling up to her crib and just like she would be playing like ATB and like Dead Mouse when he first came out when nobody knew who Dead
Yeah, for
Mouse
sure.
was. A lot of rock music, a lot of 80s shit. Like just she was just like very, very like versatile and diverse with her music. And I kind of like latched onto that and I ran with it as a kid. And I feel like when you're a kid too, it's just like you're more open-minded to music. You know what
Absolutely.
I'm saying? You're
Yeah.
more free-spirited as well.
Yeah, because when you're a kid, nobody tells you what's cool. Like
Yeah.
you're like in high school and you're getting older, it's like it's cool to listen to hip hop and
Yeah, yeah. You're
certain
kind of
type
going
of
with like the trends
whatever's
as you get
trendy.
older.
When we
Yeah,
were in
yeah.
high school, it was
Facts.
trap music. It was,
Yeah, yeah.
and that was the cool thing to listen to. But when you're a kid, you just like you don't understand music on like a technical level. You just if
Yeah.
you fuck with it, you
You
fuck
fuck
with
with
it.
it. Yeah, yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. Facts, bro. Like I'll give an example, bro. Like I remember one time like she busted out one of Eminem's track. I think it was Crack a Bottle. And that's a
Make
pretty
your
like
body waddle, brother.
yeah, yeah, but that's a pretty grimy track to listen to growing up.
Of course.
And I was over there like swearing my mouth off. That obviously
Nah.
she don't give a fuck, right? But my parents would or whatever.
Yeah.
Right? I wouldn't say that in front of them. But like the man was just swearing his fucking mouth off, but it was just making me vibe, bro. And I'm just there in the backseat of the car, just fucking like making body waddle.
Of
Da-da-da-da.
course.
You know what I'm saying? Just like going crazy. And like I said, bro, just like music is a feeling, bro. Like if you fuck with it and it makes you feel a certain way, then the artists themselves, they already did their job. You know
Yeah, I
what
feel
I'm
like a lot of
saying?
kids gonna relate to that because every kid, like I had that Eminem phase too when I was young. That's kind of my
Yeah, on the
intro.
MP3 too.
Oh,
You know what
brother,
I'm
way too
saying,
young to
bro?
be listening to that
You
shit. And like
the fuck.
Young Jeezy. I'll never
Yeah,
forget like my mom coming in. I'm playing Young Jeezy. Like my
yeah,
president is black. My Lambo. Like,
yeah. Shout out Young Jeezy,
bro.
bro.
Like
OG in the game.
my mom's like, what the
OG,
fuck
bro.
you listening
Yeah,
to?
she's just like, yo, this guy's gonna grow up to be a fucking hoodlum,
bro,
bro.
bro. The name Glisson. Where does
Yeah.
that come from? Let the people know.
Yo, so honestly, when I first started music, I didn't really have an identity to me. You
Mhm.
know what I'm saying? So I was trying to like find my way in terms of like finding the perfect name. And I had some chopped names. I can't tell you like right now exactly what they were because it happened like many fucking years ago. But then eventually it just fucking it hit, bro. Or it's just like, yo, like I like that word glisten. Like I just thought of the word glisten. I'm like, what does glisten mean? It means to shine.
It means to
You
shine.
know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? So I'm like, yo, like, how can I apply that to myself, but make it personal at the same time? I was like, yo, you know what? I like the word glisten, but then I searched up the actual word glisten on like these streaming platforms, and
Mhm.
turns out there's like hella fucking glistens out there,
True.
spelled like the word glisten.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? So I was like, okay, you know what? How can I make it me? you know. So I use my last name. You know, my last name is Cruz. It's got a Z in the end. So I'm like, let me replace that T with a Z. So now it's like a little bit more personal to me. You know
Sick.
what I'm saying? So like, all in all, bro, like that word glisten, like it means to shine. So like, I always felt like I was born to shine. You know what I'm saying? Because I had talents before music. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? It was never just music. And that was like, that's just me. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? There's a whole lot of shit that goes like before that.
Absolutely. So what inspired you to take that step and like put the pen to paper or like get in the booth and like record a verse?
Fam, I'm gonna tell you right now, bro. The man's behind the camera, bro. Yo, shout out Oak. Shout out Oak.
So Oak was doing it first?
Oak was doing it first, bro. Oak was doing it first many fucking moons ago, bro. Like I met my boy Oak in high school. We became very close friends, very fast. And he shed some light on like how he got into music, you know what I'm saying? And like he told me he's been rapping since he was a kid. You know what I'm saying? Like one of the main artists he looked up to was like Lil Wayne. So he's been rapping,
That's
like
his
writing
goal.
freestyles and stuff. And it's actually crazy because like when you're growing up as a kid in elementary, like a lot of kids just think about like soccer, you know, playing in like recess, this and that and the fourth. But this motherfucker was just like spitting bars.
Yeah.
You know, like I wasn't spitting bars in elementary, bro. I was trying to catch the girls and this and that and the fourth, whatever, right? And the man was just spitting bars, and he brought that into high school, and then we became close boys. Fast forward to our later years, bro. Like we both got hired at the same fucking job at Chipotle over there at Stockyards.
Yeah.
And
Right by here too, eh? It's
yo,
full circle.
literally, yeah, right down the street, bro. We could walk there if
Right
we
down
really
the
wanted
street,
to.
deadass,
Yeah,
yeah.
if we really wanted to, we could walk there, right? But yeah, he like, you know, we found out that we both got hired at the same place unknowingly, to be honest. It's not like we planned it, you know what I'm saying? But unknowingly. And he pulled up, and then we had like bare shifts together, and like he was just spitting like crazy fucking freestyles. And it was just like he was just going off and off and off, and just like it got to a point where I'm just like, damn, bro, like I want to try this shit out, bro.
Yeah.
Because like I come from like a background of arts, bro. Like it was never
course.
before music, bro. Like I had the natural gift of visual arts.
Yeah. You're creative. And
Yeah,
you expressed it in
always
different
been
ways.
creative, bro.
Yeah.
And honestly, it goes back to the time, like, I'll never forget this day, because I always tell this story, because I'll never forget this day. It was a grade 3 class in elementary, and we had to write like a mini essay, right? And like the essay was like a fucking paragraph of like five fucking sentences. And all the kids are writing like, you know, like basic ass shit. Like, I want to be a firefighter. I want to be a police. I want to be the fucking prime minister, this and that.
Yeah.
And I'm over here writing about like I want to be a tattoo artist. You know what I'm saying? The teacher's looking at me crazy, but she's like, "Yo, like this is really interesting because it's different from what she's ever seen. Like, how many kids in grade 3 are talking about like they want to be a fucking tattoo artist, right?" And that only became that I only wrote about that because A, I had the natural gift of visual arts, and B, like most of my family members, they're all tatted up. So you know that definitely influenced like the way I thought about like in terms of like what I wanted to do for the rest of my life.
For sure.
And most kids at grade 3, they don't even know what underwears they're gonna wear tomorrow morning. You know what I'm saying? Like they're not thinking about that shit.
You saw the art in it, yeah.
Yeah, so I was just like, I thought about it. I was like, damn, like I want to do like this like tattoo shit, and like I like the tattoos on my family and stuff like that.
And can you remember the first verse you ever recorded?
Oh shit, nah, that one I can't. I'm not gonna cap to you, bro, because like, yo, like the first time that I you know what? I can't even tell you the first time that I ever recorded, bro, because this was many moons ago on like a old like mid 2012 MacBook Air, right? But I knew like, oh, I'm gonna tell you this, bro. I'm gonna tell you this. So let me backtrack a little bit. Let me backtrack a little bit to the story with my boy Oak, bro. My boy Oak. So after I heard him freestyling and whatnot, that's when I started to like take initiative. I was like, you know what? I have this MacBook Air at home. At the time, I think I only had like the basic like Logic Pro or whatever, the system on there or whatever. And I was like, you know what? Like, let me just like try to run something quick. I like ran it quick. I'm not gonna cap, bro. I ran that auto tune because like my voice is chopped. You know what I'm saying? My voice is chopped. I threw on that auto tune, and instantly I thought it was like Justin Timberlake.
Right.
I was like, yo, like this is crazy, bro.
something
Like
here.
there's something here. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Mind you, though, like when I was recording the first time, wired Apple headphones, dusty ass fucking MacBook Air, and the latest version of Logic that you can possibly think of.
So you're recording on the Apple headphones mic.
Yeah, no experience at all. Like I didn't even bother doing like my research or anything. I just like
Right.
tried to use whatever was in my program, and I was like, "Yo, this is lit, bro." You know
Mm.
what I'm saying? Like I'm fucking with this. Again, it made me feel a type of way, so I was just like, you know what? Like I want to continue this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and so damn, you were doing it. You know that's interesting because it's like I think about you saying that just taking initiative and just doing it because we came up in like the first era that was possible.
Yeah,
You know, you're born 10 years earlier and that's not possible for you to just take initiative and record a track on your computer
yeah, of course.
and start that way. You know, you would have to book some studio time and get somebody.
Yeah,
So it was the first era that was possible and you took full advantage of it, and that's dope.
yeah, fam, 1000%, bro. Like you know, and that's why like I gave all praise to like the new generation coming up because now they have the tools
Yeah,
in front of them, bro. Like we never really had all these tools. You know what I'm saying? Like,
absolutely. It's even
we
easier
didn't have
now.
all these high quality cameras, these high quality programs to produce.
Yeah, it's like a double-edged sword now, right? Because you could say things are oversaturated. There's a lot more music coming out and
Yeah,
a
yeah,
lot more
1000%.
artists,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
also you have the opportunity, which
Mhm.
wasn't there before. And
Facts.
I think that outweighs the saturation. If you have some
Facts.
good shit and if your shit stands out, you know, the
Yeah.
cream of the crop gonna rise to the top.
1000%. Yo, I like that quote, bro.
You like
Yo,
that?
I fuck with that. That's sick.
Let's get into Club 1800, bro.
Yeah.
That's what
let's
we're
do
here for.
it,
That's the
let's
main.
do it.
That's the main event of the
Yes,
evening.
sir.
Where'd you come up with that name, Club 1800, and what were you trying to achieve with this project?
Yo, it's funny with that name, Club 1800. I was actually like, I was already in the works of the album, but I was like struggling with the name.
Uh-huh.
I was like, what is this gonna sound like?
So how far along are you in the album before the name's decided? Like how many tracks are roughly done?
I would say like about 10-ish. It was around that part.
So a
It
good
was like
majority of it.
10-ish, you know, like all said and done, we're at 15. I mean, like, you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Like, you got the tracks and everything. You got to listen to everything.
Been spinning it all
from
day.
top to bottom. But it was basically like, yeah, it was 10 tracks in and, you know, like a really, really rough mix on them. A lot of the tracks were like, some of them were like 2 years old, some of them were 1 year old. And then
Really? So a lot of these tracks on here are on Club 1800 are like the idea, the conception of them are
Yeah.
2 years ago.
yeah, some of them are 2 years, some of them are 1 year. And I only like held on to them just because I was like, yo, like I feel like it's just like not the right time.
See?
You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to like gatekeep my music, but I was just like, you know, like, cause I make lots of music, bro. There's a lot of fucking stuff in my drafts or whatever that's probably never gonna get released.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of stuff that did get released, right? But then there's the ones on Club 1800 where I'm just like, I had to hold on to them because I'm like, yo, you know what? Like, I think these tracks are bigger for what the time is right now. You know what I'm saying? That was back then.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I feel like it's like not time to like release it right now. I feel like there's a different time to release it, which is today. You know what I'm saying? We're in present day right now. But Club 1800, yo, like the way I work, bro, I'm a very pressured worker. Like I work really good under pressure.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna lie. Like there's days where I fuck off. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm just like I feel like I'm not about it. I'm lazy. Or sometimes I'm just like doubting myself, to be honest.
Sure,
You know what I'm
absolutely. You
saying?
know, like with creativity, you got to be in the right headspace to work, and
Yeah.
and you're not in that headspace every day.
Yeah.
It's not like other professions, right?
Facts, right? So like the way the name Club 1800 actually came, again, just to go back to me working under pressure, is you know I have the album release party coming on June 14th.
Absolutely.
And so I got in contact with like the owners of the place or whatever, and it was there. And then at the email when I was writing to them, in the midst of the email, I was like, oh, I have an album release party for my album. And then I got stumped right there. I was like, holy shit, like I've been trying to think of this album name for so long, but right there and then it clicked to me. I
Interesting.
was like, yo, this whole album literally sounds like it should be in a club. And then the 1800 part literally came from my favorite drink. You know what I'm saying?
That's
is
what we drink
Tequila
over here.
1800. You know what I'm saying? Shout out Tequila 1800. Sponsor me. You know what I'm saying? Shout out, you know, trying to get that sponsorship. You know what I'm saying?
We're gonna
But
secure it.
You know, that's my favorite drink though. It's
Mm-hmm.
specifically 1800 coconut, right? And once I put the two words together, club and 1800 together, it kind of had like a ring to it.
It
And it was
does.
something like personal to me too.
Yeah.
And it's like a homage thing, you know, like I'm paying homage to the drink that I don't want to sound like I'm an alcoholic, but it's really like anybody that knows me, they know that I love sipping on 1800 coconut, you know?
Absolutely.
So I was like, yo, like we're gonna run with that. And I wrote that in the email. I was like, yo, that's it. That's it right there.
That's a
Club
dope.
1800. Yeah.
That's a dope story. Yeah.
Yeah.
And bro, like you've been dropping on DSPs at least. I know you've been making music for a long time. You've been dropping on
Yeah, it's been
DSPs
like,
since 2019.
yeah, facts.
And what made you feel like now is the right time to take the bigger step? And you've done some EPs, you've dropped a lot of singles. What made you feel like now is the time to take that step and put out the album?
Yo, honestly, like I've been releasing like a lot of singles over the years. My first EP came out again with Oak last year in December. And I really wanted to give everybody like a solid body of work. You know what
Hmm.
I'm saying? Just like something that you can just like listen to from like, you know, the moment you leave your crib to the moment you get to your job.
Yeah.
It's like a full body of work. Or if you're like working out, or even if you're just partying or something like that,
Yeah.
right?
Just curating the vibe and yeah.
Yeah, you know, and then I always like thinking about like when I listen to those types of albums, you know, like for instance, like if A Boogie drops his album or something like that, like it's always nice to just like listen to a full body of work, because especially if it's like your favorite artist too, it's like you're always wanting more, you're always asking for more. But if they're giving you more, then you got what you wanted. You know
Absolutely,
what
bro.
I'm
You're
saying?
preaching to the
It don't.
choir. I'm an album guy. Like I like
Yeah.
the album experience. It's exciting when an
Yes.
artist drops an album and you know I make sure to always listen to it in the sequence that they provided because
Yeah.
there's intention behind it, and I
One
see
thousand
that,
percent.
and I see that in this album
One
as
thousand
well.
percent. You're right on that.
So
You got that.
you felt like it was time. You had the music for it, but
Yeah.
a really ambitious album. You know, a lot of debut albums are 8 tracks, 10 tracks,
Yeah.
and you went for 15 tracks on your debut album, and I applaud
Yeah,
you
I went
for
for
it.
15 tracks, bro.
I
Yeah.
applaud you for it
I
because I don't
appreciate you
feel
for
like
that,
there's any
man.
filler in this album either.
Yeah.
And a lot of you know, a lot of people add some tracks that maybe not their favorite or whatever just to kind of fill out a track list.
Yeah.
But I feel like you love these 15 tracks. You put work into these 15
I can
tracks,
feel it.
and
You know what I'm
I
saying,
definitely
bro?
could feel it going through the track list.
Like, I'm not trying to talk shit, bro, because like I did post online about it, and I was like, yo, in the caption, I threw in there, I was like, yo, there's zero misses to me, at least to me, because not everybody has their own opinions,
Sure.
and that's totally fine.
It's
You know what
music.
I'm
It's
saying?
subjective,
Music,
of course.
facts. You know what I'm saying? So it's definitely subjective, but I was just like, you know what, like I literally put like my blood, sweat, and tears into this. And I feel like people are gonna feel that. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Absolutely. And I think you showed some really interesting versatility on this album too.
yeah,
Like, you know, when I turn it on, I'm expecting to hear some of the stuff that I've heard from you before. So, you know, songs like 3 a.m., songs like Slide, songs like Club
yeah,
1800.
yeah.
But then I hear songs like Djibouti and Hypnotizing. And I'm like, this is a little bit different from what I've heard from Gliszen before.
Yeah,
So I see you kind of expanding the range and I like it.
well, we got a lot more than that. Here's the thing, bro. It's like, again, just to go back to what I was talking about before, like, there's a lot of stuff in the vault
Yeah,
that's yet to be released.
of
You know
course.
what I'm saying? There's also a lot of sides of me that's yet to be released. You know
Hmm.
what I'm saying? Because I do eventually, like, in the future, I want to open up more about myself. Because, like, for me, like, I'm gonna tell you this, bro. Like, growing up, you know, I come from a Spanish household. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Like, my background's Ecuadorian. And so, like, my mom would play a lot of, like, reggaeton. She played, like, bachata. My dad would play, like, a lot of, like, soca music, dancehall music, and this, and that, and the fourth.
Yeah.
You know? And I think out of everything in a whole, I do appreciate all types of music across the board to the fullest. But something about those drums,
Hmm.
it just, I love that shit, and it's just like it's in my blood, it's in my veins, bro. But it's not to say that that's who I am as an
Yeah.
artist. You know what I'm saying? Because I do go through hardships the same way that everybody else does. You know what I'm saying? Right now, I'm not gonna talk about that right now because we're focused on the album.
No, but
Right,
I
but
even felt that on the album on your intro track. Toronto feels the same, you know. Like
yeah,
I
bro.
feel some of that introspective and some of that hardship that I haven't really heard from you.
Yeah, facts, bro. I mean, like when I made that track, bro, like I was pretty much like going through a nasty breakup. You know
Mhm.
what I'm saying? And just like for me, like when I hit the studio, it's like therapy to me. You
Yeah.
know? So like when I touch that mic, I'm like, you know what? Like it's better to go on the mic than pay like $400, $350 to a therapist who's
Yeah.
just trying to get that check at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can really let myself go and be myself and
Hmm.
like let people know who I am as a person,
Yeah, and you have to really
behind the
think
artist.
out your thoughts and curate them, and it's a cool
Exactly.
way to get that out. I was
Exactly.
really impressed with the beat selection on this album too, man. Like every
Sick,
beat, I was
right?
just like, yo, I would listen to an instrumental version of this album because your beats are just the beat selection is great.
Yo, I'm very fucking picky on the beats,
That's what I
bro.
wanted to
I
ask you
am
about.
so fucking picky. It's disgusting.
That's what I wanted to ask you about. Like, how many beats are you running through to
Yo,
narrow down, 15 songs for this album?
bro, I'm gonna tell you this right now, bro. So, fam, like I'm on YouTube, bro. Like I'm on
Yeah.
YouTube all the time. And whenever I find like a really, really good beat, I then go on the producer's page or the channel or whatever.
Hmm.
And if I see that they're all pretty much like aligning like with like the type of sound that I like, then I'm
Yeah,
gonna hit that subscribe button.
for sure.
And so every day I'm gonna see like in my subscribes all the new beats that I want to be the first one to be on it, to be honest.
Right. That's important
You know
too.
what I'm saying? I don't want to miss it because the way that I'm doing music right now, right? Like I'm not a big artist, you know what, and whatnot. So I'm pretty much like leasing my beats right now. I'll be honest with you, bro.
Yeah.
I'm leasing my beats. I don't have the funds, bro. It is what
Hmm.
it is. You know, I'm on the come up right now. There's only one track that I actually bought before, but that's for another day. But I'm pretty much checking the producers that I subscribe to religiously, like
Hmm.
every single day. And if I miss a day, I make sure the next day I check everything again.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And like a lot of the times too is like they're not perfect either. You know what I'm saying? It was a point in time where like, I looked at their page and like everything was booming, but they have their off days too. So it's
Of
not to say
course.
that all their tracks hit, but I would say like maybe after every 30, I'm no cap, bro.
You're
No
picking
cap.
1 out of 30,
No,
maybe.
not fam. 30 to 50 beats, I'm probably gonna like one, bro.
Uh huh.
Because I'm very intricate about my sound and
Absolutely.
what I think is gonna sound good for like the viewers. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's cool. And
Yeah.
what is your typical recording session look like?
Shit, man.
Bro said shit.
Yo, the typical recording studio session, I'm gonna tell you right now, bro. It usually starts with a few shots. I ain't gonna
Okay, a
cap, bro.
couple of 1800s.
Yo, I'm gonna get this out of the way right now, bro. Most of the music, I would say like 99% of the music that you've heard from me that's been dropped on digital platforms, um, I'm usually fucked up, bro. I
You're
ain't gonna
faded.
cap, bro. I'm faded, bro. I'm faded. I'm faded because honestly, like it makes me more open-minded,
Sure.
makes me more confident. I'm not gonna cap, bro. Like when I first started, it sounded good, and it got to a point where I was just like, you know what, like let me just try like taking a sip of alcohol or something like that. I took a sip of alcohol. All of a sudden, I'm going crazy. I'm like, what the fuck is this?
Mm-hmm.
My boy put me on to edibles at one point. I took the edible, bro, and I'll never forget that day, bro. I took the edible, and I just started fucking hearing melodies like I've never heard
You're
before.
hearing different
Like
instruments in a
like
beat
melodies, no, like
or
literally
melody.
just the
Yeah.
melodies.
Okay, you're hearing the melody.
I
Yeah.
was just hearing melodies that I've never heard before. And I know I've never heard them before because you can go backtrack my music right now
Right.
and try to find a song where something sounds like that. You're not going to find anything that
Mhm.
sounds like it. So the edibles, it does help, bro. And like, you know about Kush, bro. You know what I'm saying? It kind of opens up like that pineal gland in the back of your head or whatever, that creative part in your head. And ever since that day, bro, like I just been like popping edibles like crazy. And not to say like I'm fucking popping edibles morning, day, and night, but
Nah.
just as a recreational thing, whenever I'm doing music, take a couple shots of alcohol.
Yeah, you like to get in your zone
And
before. Yeah.
and just like the magic goes like it takes over, bro. It goes crazy. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I've always been interested in kind of artist process because that's so different, right? You hear some artists that are sober and they record in the morning or like
Yo, and yeah, sorry. I don't want to cut you off.
no,
Go.
you know you hear like Eminem that like treats it like a 9 to 5 and is like
Yeah.
in the studio in the morning and is recording hits in the morning, and then you hear a lot of similar stories to yours where it's like, nah, we start recording at midnight. And we up all night and we drinking, whatever, just getting in a zone.
Oh, fam, I'm gonna tell
to
you
be
right now.
creative.
So as soon as I hit the studio, it could range from like a couple hours to no cap, bro, like 8+ hours.
Yeah, you're putting in a shift in the studio for sure.
Yeah, fam. Facts. Like the longest that I've ever stayed up for a studio recording session was for this song called Boo Thing. You know, shout out Chose to, you know, because that's his track, and I was you know, blessed to be on the feature with my boy Oak. But that was the longest. Like we were like, I think I touched his crib at like around like 9 to 10, something like
Hmm.
that, 10 p.m. And then I remember just like fucking like heading back to my crib at like 5, and I had fucking work at like
Damn.
6 o'clock in Brampton, bro. And I was just like, fuck, bro. I was like, so I'm still drunk, I'm still fucked up or whatever. And I was like wiping the fucking crust out of my eye and whatnot. Like I was fucking driving crazy on the fucking
And that's
highway and
all working on
shit.
one track.
I was all working on one track, bro. And he had an even dustier laptop than me. And I was just
Hmm.
doing the mixing on it.
You
And I
guys
remember
got it
just
done.
like after like I finished my shift, I listened to it and it sounded so crispy. I was like, damn, bro, how the fuck did I? Sometimes I'd be asking myself, like, how the fuck did I do this under the influence? You know
Yeah,
what I'm
it's just like a
saying?
moment that you can't
It's a
recreate.
moment.
Yeah.
Exactly. We captured the moment, fam. Exactly.
I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about Big Oak's features on this album.
1000%, bro. Shout out the
Two
boy Oak.
two features that he absolutely killed on
Yes,
this.
sir.
Why don't you
That's
speak
the
on
boy.
you know, it's working with Oak and why you guys are such frequent collaborators and why you guys have such good chemistry.
Okay, 1000%, bro. Yo, first of all, shout out my boy Oak. You know what I'm saying? That's the GOAT right there. That's the one that put me onto this music. Fam, like I said from before, like the chemistry came from high school. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? That's when I met him and whatnot. And we instantly clicked. And as soon as I decided to like take on music when I was working at Chipotle with him, um, he seen that there was something in me. You know what I'm saying? Like there was something shining inside me. He's like, yo, like this kid's got it. Da, 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 da. I already knew he had it. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Because I was trying to follow after his footsteps.
Of course.
And then we started cooking up together, bro. And since then, bro, just the more often that you're with somebody and you're sharing different opinions, different thoughts, different experiences as well, you tend to elevate each other in all types of different aspects, bro. Like for instance, like, you know, I really got good at the program, but man was really good at like bars.
Mm-hmm.
He was good at breath control. He was good at
Yeah.
storytelling. He was good at
Yeah.
like just everything on like everything, bro. Everything that you can like talk about like in terms of rap,
Yeah.
he was good on that, bro. And it just helped that since high school, bro, we just got closer and closer and closer. And that's my best friend till this day. And fam, when you work with your best friend, bro, it's like working with family. You know
Yeah,
what
and you
I'm
guys,
saying?
I
It's
think you
just like
guys
you
kind
know
of
each
bring out the
other.
best in each other too,
One thousand
right?
percent, bro.
Right? Because I see that, you know, the bars that he brings to some of your tracks and the
Yeah,
melodies that you
fam.
bring to it, and vice versa. Because I heard him sing on some melody shit on this album. I'm like,
Yeah,
yo, you
fam.
brought something else out of him in
Like,
this.
yo, for instance, like, you know, I'm sure you heard of like some bars from my side as well. Like
Absolutely, yeah,
a lot
exactly,
of that inspiration and that drive really came from him. You know, it's not like, oh, like I want to be like you, I want to be like you, but I was like, damn, bro, like I really like the way you set up those bars and like how everything like correlates with each other. I'm like, how can I apply that to myself now? You know,
for
and
sure.
that's when I started to like apply it to my own music, which is like Afro beats. I love Afro beats, bro.
Yeah,
You know, like I'll call myself the Afrobeat Prince. You know, like
absolutely.
shout out
That's
Africa though. I love my Africans because that's exactly where Afrobeats came from, and that shit never goes unnoticed. You know
that's
what I'm saying?
definitely your lane.
Yeah, 1000%, bro.
But yo, like songs like "Hypnotizing," like I've been spinning that song on repeat all day.
That's the club right
And that's the club. That's the club, but it's a
there.
little step away from Afro beats into more house, right?
Yeah,
And I think that that's a lane that you could definitely dominate too. Like I want the
1000%,
I
bro.
want the Gliszen House album now too, bro.
Yo, fam.
I
Like
want
I said, I'm not gonna talk too much on it, but I got some few EDM tracks in the vault right now.
something's in the
I
works.
got a couple EDM tracks in the vault right now.
All right, cool. You might have to play me some of those. But
Let's do it up. Let's do it up.
but if somebody's watching this and they never heard none of your songs, what would you say is the first Gliszen song that you'd want them to go to?
Mm. The first song that I'd want them to go to is a song called "You, Myself, and I."
And why
You
is that?
know, and this was still in the midst of like me learning the Logic program,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I'll never forget that. Again, sorry, just to go back to what I was saying. There's only one track that I ever bought fully I have the full copyrights to this track. I bought the track off of damn, I can't remember the producer's name because I buy so many tracks off of different producers.
Mm-hmm.
But I bought this track off this producer from I think he's from like the UK or something like that. And I remember where I was just like, like that track for me was like the stepping stone where like I started to realize like I was elevating in music in terms of my sound.
Yeah.
You know, now looking back at it compared to my music now, I was like, damn, like I thought I was. You
Right.
know
But it
what I'm
was a
saying?
song you were
But
proud of
in
in
the
the moment.
moment,
Yeah.
that's when I started to realize I was like, okay, like shit's going up. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I feel like that was the track, bro. You know?
Damn. And okay, so Club 1800, what song are you spinning the most off this album, and what would you say is your favorite right now? I know that's probably changing all the time, and I don't know what that's like to like sit with a project and your own
It's
project and be
hard,
like
bro.
which
It's
one is my
hard.
favorite, but I'm
Yo,
putting you on the spot.
I really like crowd work a lot.
Yeah.
You know, crowd work was a really cool track. That was actually I mean, I say that to like till this day, right? That track, like when I made crowd work, like I don't know if you took it in when you're listening to the lyrics. It's actually an interactive track.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when I say, I take a look in the crowd and she fine. You know, I picture myself on stage when I'm performing because
Yeah.
I've done a few performances already,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah.
You know, and like, baby, take a good look at my eyes, you know?
Yeah.
So like, I just picture myself on stage and I'm really like looking at Shorty just like, you know,
Mm-hmm.
like take a good look at myself, you know, like look at me, da da da. And like that whole track is pretty much just like me talking to a female in the crowd the whole time, but as I'm performing it in real time, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I don't know if this is like the first interactive track or whatever, but I think it is because I've never heard anything like it.
That one's
Where
gonna go
like
crazy on a performance.
that's what I'm saying, bro. Because if you really take in everything that I'm saying, it's literally like I'm talking to one girl in the crowd, but as a viewer, as a listener, as a fan, you're
Yeah.
just taking it in as music, bro. But like, if you're really taking the lyrics, like I'm really just fucking like locked in on like one specific girl in the crowd, and it's just like
Mm.
that one to me is very special just because of that reason.
And
The one you said hypnotizing, bro. Like I've been having that one on replay, bro.
yeah, it's
You know, just
such
to go
an
back to the name of Club 1800, bro. You know, it's when you go into a club, you hear all types of like music. You know what I'm saying? You hear Afro beats,
absolutely.
you hear rap, you hear dancehall, you hear reggaeton, you hear this, and that. But when you hear that hypnotizing track, bro, that's that like boom, boom, boom. That shit just like it gets you moving. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Like it just really makes you move.
So I kind of want to wrap it up with like, what's next for Gliszen? What are the plays? Like, this is your debut album,
Yeah,
and now that your debut album is about to be out
yeah,
right now when this interview is out,
facts.
what's next? What's your next kind of plan for rolling out maybe a next project or a future album? How active do you want to be, and how do you kind of see music rolling out going forward?
Okay, yeah. So basically, like after this album, I do have a follow-up single. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying my best to push it out by the end of the month, early July. It is an Afro house track. I feel like that's what's like really in right now. There's a lot of Afro house like popping off in like the last year and a half to
Absolutely.
2 years.
And this is
Something
the
like
time for it,
that.
bro. It's summer in
This is the
Toronto. Like,
time, you
heat
know
up
what
the
I'm
city.
saying?
Let's
This
go.
is my element too,
Heat up the
though. You know
city.
what I'm
Let's go.
saying?
Yeah.
Like, exactly. Heat up the world, bro.
Exactly.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I love the city. I love Toronto. Shout out Toronto, but we gotta heat up the whole world to the core
Facts.
out. You know what I'm saying? And I want to release that. No, I'm going to. I'm going to release that track. But the biggest thing for me is to really collaborate with people overseas. You know what I'm saying? And some of the collaborators that I want to work with is actually the producers that I found off YouTube. You know, like one of my favorite producers, shout out, produced by DEB. He's from Jamaica. I want to go to Jamaica and really just like sit down with the man
Dope.
and create something magical in the studio from scratch, bro. A raw beat, you
Yeah.
know, raw vocals, brand new bars, everything, roll it out nice. And same thing for everywhere else, you know, like I want to go to Miami, link up with some producers over there too. You know, because I feel like that should be everybody's goal as a musician. You know, like you don't want to just stay in like a niche or
Yeah.
like within your city. You know, I do love the city of Toronto too, but I feel like sometimes there's a lot of hate that can come with it.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying, bro? Like as a musician, I don't know if it's because there's like too many musicians in the city or whatever, but
Yeah, I
I feel
thought
at times there can be like a little bit toxicity in terms of like supporting. You know what I'm saying?
no doubt. I've thought about that a lot. And I don't know if it's like, maybe it's like a grass is greener situation, but it just seems like other cities, they just show a lot more love to people from their city. And in Toronto, they're like looking for a reason not to fuck with you.
Yeah,
And I
facts,
don't really
bro.
know what that's about, but we need to just as a whole, as a
Just
city,
unite, bro.
just
You know
unite.
what
And
I'm
like,
saying?
especially like, bro, there's enough money to go around. There's enough ears to go around to listen
1000%.
to everybody's music or whatever. And I think as a city, we just need to come to like we've already shown that we're a force in this music business, but like
100%.
if we really, really united, like Toronto, especially in the
Bro, we
music,
would destroy the whole fucking. We would break scales,
you know
bro.
what I mean? Like,
Like
I don't see like I see us being up there with Atlanta, with New York, and
one thousand
we have
percent.
the talent for it. I just don't think we have the unity.
Yo, I can't remember like who said this in a video, but it's so facts, bro. You know, like if you're gonna compare Canada, I would say, because I don't even want to just single out Toronto, but Canada as a whole, and
Yeah,
you're gonna compare it to like United States, which is like I feel like the epitome of like movies and artists. And if we're gonna talk about like global artists and global movie stars, you think about United States. You know what I'm saying? You got mans in like across the fucking sea in Europe and Asia and all these places that are watching US movies and all that stuff. Even US podcasts and
absolutely.
listening to US musicians, even though they might not necessarily know what they're talking about because it's not their native language. It's true what this man said. When you're coming up in a state, you don't just get supported by your hometown. You don't just get supported by your home city. You get supported by that whole fucking state.
Mm-hmm.
And they've always been strong in that point. And
Right.
I've never understood like why we don't have that here in Canada, bro. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Because it's bigger than just Toronto. You know what I'm saying? Like, why not like let the whole province or let the whole fucking country root you on type thing, you know? And that's a very common thing there in the States. And that's why people tend to blow up more in the States. You know what I'm saying? Because they don't just have a fucking neighborhood or a town rooting for them. They have the whole fucking state rooting for them.
Absolutely.
You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? So I always admire them for that. I know we're gonna get to that point at some point. Um,
I think so. Yeah. I think it's
Not
just
to say that I'm talking down Toronto because I love this city. You know, I grew up in this city and my heart's always in Toronto.
no, of course.
And a part of me is just like never wants to leave, but at the same time, growth is about change.
True.
You know what I'm saying? And always like stepping out of like your comfort zone.
Yeah.
And every time that I've stepped out of my comfort zone, I've grown more.
Yeah.
I've grown more.
Important, especially as an artist, I think, to do that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
1000%.
All right. To cap this off, I want you to do some manifestation. I want this to be a clip that you look back at 5 years from now and say, damn, came a long way from the playground, you know?
1000%.
So
bro.
I want you to talk about what you want your career to look like in 5 years and where you want to be and kind of what you envision for yourself.
Okay, yo, in 5 years, multiple properties. I'm gonna tell you that right now. In different parts of the world. Make sure my family's eating good, make sure my friends are eating good as well. Being able to literally just work and have fun, bro. Because I feel like that should just be everybody's goal. You know what I'm saying? Like my main job right now is construction. That's paying the bills and whatnot. And that's cool, but I don't want to be breaking my back at like 35. You know what I'm saying? Like it's paying the bills right now, but it's not something that I envision myself doing until like retirement. You know what I'm saying? Like we're only young once.
Absolutely.
So we gotta live our life once, Like I don't want to be like cliche or anything, but that YOLO track is so facts, bro. You know what I'm
course.
saying? You only live once,
Of course.
and it's so fucking true, bro. And we gotta take advantage of our youth, of our experiences as well. And yeah, so in 5 years, bro, I'm gonna be on top of the world, bro, just destroying shit,
Destroying shit.
but helping everybody on the way because I like helping people. You know what I'm saying? Like I came up from a hard like upbringing.
Mhm.
We'll keep that for like another conversation.
Yeah.
But I know how hard it is out here for all of us. You know
Absolutely.
what I'm saying? Like, and we all have our own different stories too. And if I can help in some sort of way where I can get people out of the gutter and show them a new light that like, yo, you know what? Like this isn't the only way. You don't have to be stuck in this fucking loop where you're just like living that 9 to 5. You're just like paying check to check and you're having problems at the crib or whatever because of what happened in your childhood, this and that, like fam, like the only person that's stopping you at the end of the day is yourself,
Yeah.
realistically. You know what I'm saying? Like that's why like I always used to like blame other people for my problems.
Yeah. But you,
The older I got, the more I fucked up. I started to realize like, yo, you know what, fam? Like it's the only person that's really stopping me is me. Like if I
exactly.
wanted to become homeless tomorrow, I can do it. If I wanted to open up a business tomorrow, I can do it.
Yeah.
Am I gonna have hurdles along the way? 1000%. But you gotta fucking fail in order to like taste success, you know?
Yeah. You're the only one who could break the cycle.
Facts,
Absolutely.
facts.
Club 1800 is out now wherever you get your music. Listen, it's been an absolute pleasure to sit down with you and talk
Thank
music
you,
for a
family.
bit.
I'm honored to be here, bro.
And
like I said,
I'm excited to do this again for the next project.
let's do it up, bro.
My God.
Let's do it up.